Rally Sport, and it is Sunday, 11:33 a.m. on June the 13th. Excuse me, July the 13th, Sunday. This is recording one of Watchdogs. I'm going to do two recordings, maybe three parts, showing myself doing attempts to claim the mayorships for, there's 100 spots. The total run that I'm going to do takes about 32 minutes tops, but because of this recording and my explaining how I do it, it'll take a little longer. As you see on the screen, I have the car on demand on list. I have progressed only up to the game part where Jordy gives Aiden a phone call telling him that he has a job for him that he can't do himself because Maurice is in his guest room trying to dig out. So I have not advanced into the game to where there are online people that can hack into your game yet, and specifically I have not advanced into the game so that I'm able to continue roaming in the game without having to deal with hackers. I have played the poker game at the medium game and won that game, and by doing so I won the Sayonara LE, which is really the same as the Sayonara. They're both the same. The difference is the limited edition is free. You have the Kodachi. It's alright. It's not a bad bike, and I do use it as well, but I prefer the Sayonara LE. It sounds better. And during the route, if I find that I have to switch to another motorcycle, typically the Kodachi is one that usually populates onto your route depending on how you run your route. The Kurohawa Motorsport is the worst bike in terms of speed, and if you want to spend less time, you really want to use either the Sayonara LE or the regular Sayonara, which does populate at various spots on your on the map. The Chopper is a good bike. It's a sturdy bike, but it's not fast enough. So in order, Sayonara LE, then the Sayonara, and then the Kodachi. Those are your three choices in using this. Now, this is the best way to do these routes as quickly as possible. You can use a car, sure, but at this point in the game, I haven't advanced far enough to really get any of the higher class cars that would probably be able to utilize this route. Plus, cars are just bigger, and it's just harder to get through in that aspect through traffic. So I'm going to choose a Sayonara LE.
Your ride's ready. Gassed up, wheels
It's
balanced,
11:37 a.m. Central Standard Time in real time. Okay, and I am here in Parker Square, and I'm heading to my bike. I'm at my hideout. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. The route I'm going to show you starts here in Parker Square and works its way down into the wards, comes across to Brandon Docks, works his way out and comes into the loop, and then I'll skip the Mad Mile and head back over to the northern part of Parker Square and then end up in Pawnee. And you're probably wondering why I chose this, and there are various reasons that I'll go over with you during this time point. My starting point will be here at the May Stadium, and my ending point will be all the way up here at the Bloom Center. And so I'll let you know later why I chose that. The motorcycle, just driving in general is a pain, but with a little practice you can get it going. You're gonna find little events like this along the way that pop up. One of the things in order to get this going really quick for you, there's two things. One is you need to ignore everything that's going on the screen that can happen in real time. Just ignore events and you can get through your route quick. Now I'm going to make my official start time at my first spot at 11:39 a.m. You'll want to make certain that it says checked in order to do that. You'll also find that the more times you run this route, the more easier you'll remember where to go without having to adjust going into the map to look for your next spot. You can park as close as you want to the spots, but I find it's really difficult to get back on your vehicle or even access the hotspot if you park too close. Sometimes you'll just jump right back on your vehicle instead. Now I'm going to go kind of fast, but not real fast, and the point for that is to try to preserve my vehicle in the life of it. Just passed the motorcycle there, but it looked like it wasn't a very good motorcycle. You can take about 3 or 4 hits running into people or cars, trucks, light posts, various things like that. Your motorcycle will take about 4 hits and then it starts to sputter. So although I can just tear through here as quickly as I want to, in the long run, the longer your route that you run, the better it is to just try to not speed at top speed. Get down here and jump on this. Now we've finished with Parker Square and we're heading into the wards. I don't particularly like driving in the rain, but it's really not that big of an obstacle. And you don't have to stay on the road. You can cut corners if you want. Sometimes this intersection is actually busy with a lot of cars, and sometimes it's not. So just really a timing. Also, I notice sometimes when I take off and start to drive in traffic that I'm coming up to traffic and a car will disappear. Pretty convenient. A lot of times I'll drive past the hotspot in order to turn around, position my vehicle so that it's ready to go to the next spot without me having to turn around. Alright, so I made my first mistake. I thought I did. Nope, it's right there. Trying to do 2 things at once and not concentrating. Right. When I drive up to this next intersection, I'm looking for the building that has 3 or 4 of those silver things in the middle, and that's my indicator that I need to make this turn. And as you get to doing your routes, you'll look at various landmarks to see what you need as clues to help you know your turns without having to actually use your map. My next turn is for a hot stop is right around the corner, and I'm positioning myself again. And I know from memory I'm going to make a left turn here, go straight down to the end of the street, try to avoid cars, slow down, turn into the first lot. That truck's usually not there. Off to the next one, which I'll skip the first street on the left and go to the second street on the left. Now you can cut through here if you want, but sometimes it's a little tricky. You'll end up running into stuff. Now it's at this point, to go to my next one, usually I get a event that pops up saying that a criminal's in the area, and I don't like activating him and getting the message that I scared him off, so sometimes I will just go ahead and open the gates to go through the gates. Plus going through the gates is usually easier anyway, and since I've already been through here once and left the game running for an hour and a half, those gates are still open. So if you jump into a game and you come up to this point and you open those gates and then you shut off your game to turn off your PS4 or your PS3, well, in this case PS4, when you come back those gates will be shut and you'll have to reopen them again. But I pretty much just left the PS4 alone while I went to watch an episode of Breaking Bad. I hadn't watched the series, so I'm going through it, and so I just left the PS4 on, just sitting. There's not a way that you can get your hotspots to be able to check into the hotspot itself, the same hotspot, more than once per hour. That's it. Once you've gone through it once, it will definitely count you down 59 minutes before you can check in again. Make a right turn. Sometimes a pedestrian will be in the way, but so far I think I've only hit one minor thing, so my motorcycle should still be in good shape. Make a left here, and then I know that there's a fence I need to drive through right here. There's my next hotspot. And again, I'm glancing to just make certain it says checked in. Come down here, and I know I need to make a right turn right here. And yes, thank you for driving in my way. See that building up in the distance that says Titus? That's my landmark that tells me I know that I'm going to make a left turn there soon. Now I'm going to drive on, come up to the intersection before the Titus building, make my first left and then my immediate right, and I'm going to drive into the left lane and go across the bridge. And yes, usually I get two cars either there or right here that are coming in my direction, almost always. And so I have to be careful